Hi everyone, and welcome back to another Let's Read. I'm your host, and today we're going to be looking at comic romance. Now, this is an interesting one because it is actually under 100 scenes. It's got 93 scenes in total, and it's also not that long. It clocks in at about 5 to 9 minutes, depending on how fast you read. So if you are interested in reading this comic, which is published by Image Comics, you can find it on their website or wherever you get your digital comics from. But let's get started. The opening of the comic is beautiful. We see these two characters running through the woods. One of them is clearly in distress. The other character is trying to reassure them. And then they come across this lake, and the girl jumps into the lake to try and get away from the guy. And he follows her and says, "I won't let you do this." And she says, "You can't make me stay." Now, this is all without dialogue. And then we get our first page. And this is where things start to get weird because the page turns and now they're S. Someone else there who S been watching them the whole time, and he is commenting on how things are really dramatic right now, and we don't know why he's there. We don't know why he's been watching them, and so now we have this third person in the story. Now, the first few pages establish that there is something very wrong with society. There are these monsters outside in the world, although we don't actually see any of them yet, and people are either running away from them or hiding from them in their homes. We see this guy named Jason, who is in his basement, and he's written all of these numbers on the walls. And it seems like he's just been counting the days since whatever happened, since the apocalypse happened. And he finds these footprints in the mud outside his door. And so he grabs a gun and he goes to go investigate. And then we meet up with our two characters again. And this is when the story starts to move forward a little bit. Because this girl is sitting on a log by herself and she looks upset, and the guy comes and sits next to her and asks her what's wrong. And she says that she has to get home before dark because her dad will get upset. And he says, "Your dad won't hurt you. He's not like the others." And she says, "He's worse." We learn that she's called Lyra and he's called Finn. And then they start walking together towards her house. And they run into this other guy, this Joel guy who was watching them earlier. And he asks if they've seen a deer, and they say yes. And he says, "Good. I'm hungry," and then he runs off. And Lyra tells Finn to stay away from her, and he says that he just wants to help her, and she says that he should leave, but he doesn't, and instead he tries to fight off these monsters for her. Lyra lives in this kind of tree house thing. It's elevated off the ground, and there are all of these like zip lines and things connecting it to other trees. And it's a really cool setup. And we learn that her dad is, in fact, not normal. He's one of these monsters. And when he sees Finn, he attacks him. The art is absolutely fantastic throughout this whole comic. I love the way that the monsters are drawn. They're very grotesque and very scary. And the way that the environments are drawn is really cool as well. You can tell that the artist had a lot of fun with this one. So Lyra's dad attacks Finn and he gets injured and she helps him escape. And then they go off together. And then we meet up with Joel again and he's talking to someone on the radio trying to find his brother. And we learn that Joel and his brother were separated during the events that caused the apocalypse. And he's been searching for him ever since. Lyra and Finn settle down by a fire and they start to get to know each other a bit better and they talk about what happened in the past and what they are going to do in the future. And it's pretty clear that Lyra is really attracted to Finn, even though she is trying really hard to fight it. They are then attacked by a monster while they re-sleeping, and Finn fights it off and gets injured again. But Lyra's dad shows up and saves the day and he kills the monster. He tells Lyra that he did not want her to get hurt, and he wanted to protect her. And she says that he shouldn't have come because now Joel thinks that he is one of the monsters, and so now they have to kill him. There is some more fighting and stuff happens, and Joel gets shot in the shoulder, and Lyra's dad gets stabbed, and then he falls off the cliff, and he is presumed dead. In the meantime, Joel and Finn have gone to the city to look for supplies, and they find this giant horde of the monsters, and they barely escape with their lives. They running away from the monsters and they come across this old woman and she helps them out and she gives them somewhere to hide. She also gives them food and water and she takes care of Joel's injury. Lyra is now living with this old woman and she has basically given up hope. She doesn't think that anyone could possibly save her, but Finn comes back to rescue her. There is another action sequence where they are fighting off hordes of these monsters and it is really exciting and it is well paced. I thought it was really fun to read. They finally get back to the old woman's house and they find that it has been destroyed by these monsters. And then they come across this underground bunker, and so they decide to go inside. It turns out that this old woman wasn't just some random helpful person. She was actually part of the government, and she was the one who orchestrated the apocalypse. She created these monsters and she released them in order to wipe out most of the human population. She said that it was because humanity was corrupt and sinful, and that they needed to be wiped out. But in doing this, she also killed her own son, Joel, and so now she's feeling very guilty and very alone. The comic ends with Finn, Lyra, and the old woman sitting together in this bunker and contemplating what they are going to do next. Overall, I really enjoyed this comic. I thought the story was really well paced and the ending left me wanting more. I would definitely read a sequel if they made one. The art was fantastic. Like I mentioned before, the way that the monsters were designed was especially cool. And I also really liked the way that the environments were drawn. It really felt like the artist had a lot of fun with this one. The colors were vibrant and the line work was clean. I thought the dialogue was decent. It wasn't anything special, but it served the story well. I thought the characters were okay. I would have liked to see them explored a bit more. Especially Lyra. I thought she was a pretty interesting character, and I would have liked to see more of her inner thoughts and feelings. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing. I put out videos every Wednesday and Friday, and you can follow me on social media if you want. Until next time, remember, stay safe and read more comics.